Welcome to Entrepreneurial Entrails for some short stories on the guts and glories of being an entrepreneur.
Short people got no reason. Short people got no reason.
Hi, it's Elizabeth Plouffe, and welcome to Entrepreneurial Entrails. Today is going to have to be Wise Word Thursdays because Wednesday has come and gone. Although you never know when you're listening to this, so I could have just outed myself. Today I'm going to be focusing on Kirstine Stewart, who I had the chance to see speak at a DeGroote School of Business Innovation workshop, event, where she was interviewed and talked about women in leadership and the development of her positions and what she's done. And she's a real trailblazer. And I love the CBC, so I feel really bad that I didn't know she was the head of CBC. She actually started out as a Girl Friday and worked her way up within that position. And then she's gone on to be the head of CBC. She's gone on to be, head of Twitter in Canada. And she's now gone on to Dipley. Before I speak too much out of turn, because she's done so much, it's easy to do, I'm just going to read to you from the back of her book that she released, and we were really fortunate with DeGroote to get a copy, so I'm assuming that was to her generosity, so thank you very much. Your book was awesome. So Kirstine Stewart is the Chief Strategy Officer for Dipley Go Viral, and this, I believe, was as of 2016. A content platform with over 1 billion monthly views and 34 million monthly unique U.S. visitors. Until fall 2016, there's the answer, Kirstine was the Vice President of Media at Twitter, overseeing North American media partnerships across all verticals, including television, sports, gaming, news, and music. She previously served as Managing Director for Twitter Canada, leading Canadian operations, as well as advertising business and partnerships. Prior to joining Twitter in May 2013, Kirstine was the Executive Vice President of CBC's English Services, CBC Radio Canada, where she oversaw the network's English language radio, television, and digital programming and operations. Earlier, she was Senior Vice President of Programming for Alliance Atlantis, overseeing HGTV, Food Network, National Geographic, BBC Canada, and others. Kirstine earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Toronto and is a graduate of the Global Leadership and Public Policy for the 21st Century program at Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government, as well as the Transition to Leadership program, Young Global Voices at Oxford Said Business School. That's a heck of a run-on sentence. She's also an alumna of the Forum of Young Global Leaders, an integral part of the World Economic Forum. Most recently, Kirstine was named to Maclean's list of the most powerful Canadians, just 2 places behind Justin Trudeau, to Toronto's Life's list of the most influential Torontonians, and to Canadian Business's 2015 list of the top 50 most powerful business people in Canada. She sits on the board of thescore.com and is a member of the DMZ Advisory Council at Ryerson University. She's at Kirstine Stewart on Twitter. And she's also on Instagram because I follow her, and she and I have kind of gone back and forth a little bit, which has been completely awesome. So thank you, Kirstine. That thrills my little fangirl heart. So I wanted to talk to you today about this book, and it was a fantastic read. And not just because I've met her and grown to admire her and what have you, but she's a really good author. Although I will confess, some bits did get a bit repetitive. And I'll have to think about why I said that. But I remember thinking, I've read this part before. So it integrated very well into the chapters. But there were some bits that she used more than once. But just throughout the book, and especially if you're a female entrepreneur, and sorry guys, this applies, great leadership applies to anybody, but if you're a female entrepreneur or a woman in business in a leadership position, it can be a really awkward place. And from a personal perspective, when I go networking and I introduce myself and people ask what I do, and I say I own my own business, it's interesting that body language it happens every time. People either lean in and want to know more, or they lean way back and they're either intimidated or, I could be smelly that night, but I'm thinking it's just that instant reaction to somebody doing something against the norm. And the fact that women entrepreneurs and women in leadership roles are still considered anything but normal, anything but mainstream is sad, but we're lucky to have people like Kirstine who are willing to take and share their experiences and show us what good leadership is all about, how women can do it, and what kind of mind monkey garbage that we might have to get over in order to get there. So as always, when I'm doing Wise Word Wednesdays and I've read a good book, that's sort of the telltale sign if I've been inspired a little bit. So I'm going to just pick some of them. I love to read the author's words because you can get an idea if this is a book that you would want to read. I highly recommend it. It's a great book. So she talks about a variety of things. Most importantly is the fact that being a leader is up to you. And if you are waiting for somebody to do that for you, well, then you're not really leadership material in the first place. Being a leader is part of your DNA from my perspective. Yes, it can be taught. You can be taught to be a better leader. But if you are not a leader by, I guess, just by birth, then it can be challenging to put yourself in situations where you need to be a leader. And I'm sorry, I'm looking up something at the same time, which is never a good idea. So I found it really reinforcing that the personality that I have, because I'm naturally drawn to a leadership role, I am just as happy to be in the background. But if shit's going sideways and things need to get done, then I have absolutely no problem stepping in and leading a team and working with a team and sort of making sense of the chaos and getting things done. And something strikes me that, she's pretty much the same way. So we're going to jump in. Girl Friday Rises is the introduction. So she's got, the start of her role as a Girl Friday. Lead yourself, buy into your people. What can happen if you don't follow your dream? You need to get over yourself. So long, Superwoman. He for she and vice versa. No walls, no corner offices. Thriving at the edge of the glass cliff and your turn. And then she talks, I think she wrote this when she was at Twitter, so she's republished it with an afterword to include her transition to Dipley. So the first thing that sort of struck me was about how she talked about how we behave or present ourselves so that other people are more comfortable. And I have to confess, I sort of did that. I thought I had to dress a certain way for corporate and working for other people. And it always felt like an itch. So moving on here, she says here, the point is that not only should we not allow outdated ideas to box us in, we should go further and take pride in the traits that distinguish us as individuals, the characteristics, whatever they may be, that make each of us different. To be sure, it's still a man's world, and a white man's world at that, but if today's chiefs and rulers are any barometer, the winds of change are blowing everywhere. All around us is evidence that leaders can be who they want to be, project whatever image they want to project, and be recognized for what they achieve. Not judged or held back by their gender, youth, or high heels, the color of their skin, or the sex of their partner. The rules are being rewritten, and in many cases, erased. We're living in a time when the premier of Canada's most popular province is openly lesbian, where a black man is the president of the United States, where the founder of Facebook can lead one of the world's largest companies in a hoodie, and a woman can run the CBC in heels, high and red. And I actually found that when she shared that part of the story, the high-heeled red thing was very interesting, because I've only recently gotten more comfortable with dressing how I want to dress because it's my business, and the only thing that's actually banned from my wardrobe is leggings, which are just not professional, people. Do not wear leggings to the office. Oh, so bad. So we get into buying into your people, and she says if the first step in leading is to know yourself, discovering what matters to those around you lands right behind. You have to understand a corporate culture before you can hope to change it. And in these times, when technology is forcing all enterprise to adapt to the rapidly changing market, that's a principle with broad applications. And I think that's one of the challenges that people face when they go into new leadership role, is having to distinguish themselves. And instead of taking a month or two to sort of gather the company culture and see how people operate and whether you're in a good position, bad position, where morale is or what have you, they just charge in and think they know better and don't take into an account that you need to meet people where they are and then guide them to where they could be. Because just because you think the culture needs to go somewhere isn't necessarily what's good for the organization. So here's an interesting thing that she does regurgitate a lot through the book, is the research that substantiates that the inherent qualities in women, the way we think, the way we strategize, the way we metabolize information, the way we communicate, the way we inherently build teams and and try to rally people around a situation are the soft skills that are now being touted as inherently necessary to today's leader. And sorry, men, but apparently you are lacking in that department. Hee hee. So she says here, research has found that women tend to be particularly good at finding common ground, asking the right questions the right way, and actively listening for points of potential connection. In a 2011 survey, the Harvard Business Review examined how these nurturing competencies of leadership vary between women and men. Using data from 7,280 international leaders in corporate, government, and organizational spheres, private and public, it found that women significantly outscored men in their ability to inspire and motivate others, communicate powerfully, collaborate, build relationships, and establish long-term goals. The idea that female leaders are naturally nurturing, sensitive, and compassionate might sound like a motherhood issue, but the research discovered that women also excel in areas of taking initiative and driving results, characteristics long thought to be strengths associated with male leaders. That the Harvard Business Review, a venerable bastion of management insight, took the time to analyze these soft touch attributes speaks to the larger point that they have become crucial traits of modern leaders, male or female. Increasingly, being a nice guy is simply good for business. Amen to that. Because it drives me nuts that people get into leadership roles, especially when they're incompetent. I just put something up on Facebook today about, what is it? I wish I could take, I wish stupid people were like glow sticks, snap them in half and shake the stupid out. Oh, they drive me nuts. So she talks about those competencies that are inherent to most women and how, they used to be seen as weaknesses, and now it's being understood that being a bulldozer as a leader is not a positive attribute. Walking in and demanding that your agenda be the one that is executed, you have to get buy-in from your team. You have to build in a situation so that your team understands the direction that you'd like to take them in. And if you think you're the smartest person in the room, you are sadly mistaken. And if you lead that way, you are doing your team and your organization a disservice. I was talking to my Ballsy Women in Business, my entrepreneurship group, and explaining to them that one of the chief principles of Ballsy is that 10 brains is better than one. If you're dealing with a situation, I can guarantee you 100% that a member of the group has dealt with it, has read about it, has something. And wouldn't it be beneficial to you to take advantage of the fact that you have this group of smart, educated, experienced, intelligent women to help you solve that problem? It just makes sense to me. So the other thing that she talks about is that women are inherently reluctant to put our hands up for a variety of reasons, and mostly which society dictates that those of us who are not shy to put our hands up tend to get our hands slapped. And I grew up most of my life, Elizabeth, you need to be quiet. Elizabeth, it's not time for that. And Elizabeth, the rest of the class has to catch up. So, Elizabeth, you need to not. It's always, Elizabeth, you need to not. You need to change what you're doing, change who you are, change whatever. And it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I'm like, you know what? Screw that. Like, I am okay the way I am. Yes, I need to tone it down periodically, but I'm a damn adult. Don't tell me to be quiet and sit down and shush and what have you. I have things to say, and I have improved my way of delivery, so give me an opportunity to share with you what I think is a valuable point. So she says here, what chapter are we in here? Sorry, I'm skipping ahead here. Thriving at the edge of the glass cliff. Because women can be set up for failure, and rather than the glass ceiling, you're just put in a position where you're gonna fall off and crash unless you somehow stick to that glass cliff. Too often we women don't put our hands up for things, assignments, positions, or promotions, unless we're absolutely positively sure we can handle it. But if we're going to test ourselves to our limits, we have to trust our ability to make things work, a point I'll explain more in the final chapter. More of us should put our hands up, vie for the risky positions and promotions. We shouldn't shy away from the cliffs. We should seek them out and stand tall at the edge. Was I apprehensive about taking on the mammoth task of modernizing a coast-to-coast multimedia company of 5,000 employees? You bet. At that moment, there was no doubting where I stood, right on the edge of a slippery and jagged precipice. But it only made me more determined to dig in my heels. Yes, the high kind. And I love that. I love that there are women out there who are willing to stand at the edge of that cliff and, jump off if necessary. And hopefully people will stop looking at me like I'm a weirdo for doing the same thing at some point. So further into the book, where are we now? Sorry, this is a little dodgy. Your turn. So we're talking about happiness and what drives you within your business. And for me, I'm not financially motivated. I like money. Don't get me wrong. Never say no to money. But I won't do anything for money. There is never a time where I will turn my back on my morals or shice somebody or what have you just to get ahead and get a buck. Never going to happen. I like to be a nice person up to a point. I mean, I'm not good with stupid people, but I like to be a nice person up to a point. So money isn't driving me. So this is what she's talking about is what helps you to draw satisfaction from what you're doing in a job. And she says here, if we're honest with ourselves, I think we all know what drives our happiness, but it's what we do with that knowledge that can make all the difference. Through the course of your career, you need to keep asking yourself whether you are satisfied. What makes you satisfied can change radically with experience and with age. Do you have a position that allows you to contribute in ways that matter to you right now? Do you feel your talents are well applied? What is success to you? Is it personal growth, money, recognition? If you feel successful, then you are successful, and you are where you are meant to be. If you don't, then change the answer. And we get to the end, and she talks about the gap between men and women as far as opportunities and pay, and we have to be a little more scrappy to get to where men are, mostly because it's the old white guys that she was talking about that aren't too comfortable with a woman in red heels climbing her way up. And so it says down here, and this is she said this during the presentation at the DeGroote School of Business, and it hit me like a ton of bricks because I'd never thought about the ask this way before. And I'll read it to you just because it's really cool and I hope it resonates with you. So how do women close the gap? First of all, we have to ask for that raise, but we have to be smart in how we ask. Too often, women have come to me as their boss and try to justify a raise based on the expense they face at home. Daycare costs, commuting costs, rent, the extra challenges of being a single parent. The trouble with this approach is that your living expenses are your problem, not your boss's. A raise needs to be framed as a recognition of your contributions at work. Salary conversations need to express the idea that compensation for work is a value exchange. If you feel you are worth more to your company than you're being paid or what's being offered, you need to make a business case for why I should spend more on you. So make your request about what you do, about how you make the organization better, about your personal capital and your plans to spend it in order to benefit the firm overall. Keep in mind that a wide range of attributes add to your value as an employee. Do you have a proven ability to form constructive relationships? Do you have the trust of the people you work with? Do they regard your opinion highly? What about your digital presence and profile? Do you know how to leverage online interactions in a way that could help the business? All of these are sought-after skills at all levels, and such skills have never mattered as much as they do now. If you make a strong business case to increase your compensation, not only does it convince the boss that you deserve more, it allows the boss to make the case to her higher-ups that it's in their interest to pay you your market value or they will lose you to the market. It won't always work, but if you never ask, you'll never succeed. Make it difficult for me to tell you that you don't deserve the pay you think you're worth. And if your boss does deliver that message, isn't it better to know and make plans to move on to someplace else where you are valued? And that's huge. I think a lot of us go for the emotional appeal when we are looking for validation and looking for a raise or looking for an improvement in our work situation. And I know for me as a boss, that won't fly. I'm really sorry that you're having a tough time and what have you. That's a shame. But I can't bankroll that. If you are delivering better on projects than somebody else and this and that and the other, make that case. Likewise, if you don't want me to take money away from you, because that can happen as well, if you're having a challenge around personal issues and that's interfering with your ability to do your job, do me a favor and be honest. Come to me before it becomes an issue. Let's talk about how your workday can change. Let's talk about how we can do a job share situation so that, you can handle your personal matter. Family is very important to me. And if your ability to do your job is being impacted by a family issue, I want you to take care of your family. And I don't want you to feel afraid that your job's in jeopardy because you have to take care of your family. But if you're not honest with me and you don't come to me with a case of how we're going to solve this problem, I'm going to assume you're just screwing around and you don't like your job, and you and I are going to have a completely different conversation. That's not cool. Take control of the situation, explain what's going on, and if you can explain how you've created this opportunity to solve the issue temporarily and, manage the projects effectively, that in the long run, when you go back to say, so by the way, I rocked this project, I did this, I did that, I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that you came to me with a solution to the issue and that you took that initiative and you took control of the situation and you prioritized your family as you should do. So towards the very end, what she says here, and I put this up on Instagram, and thank you, Kirstine, for liking that and sharing it. I really appreciate it. So at the very end, it was the postscript, and I'm not going to go into that piece. So she says here, so Just Right turned out once again to be something I have never done before. By joining Dipley and the impressive team at Go Viral as their first Chief Strategy Officer, I have signed up to do exactly that. Tap into the qualities that have made me a leader and help figure out how to transform our world. I find myself an entrepreneur, my latest evolution, and it's hella exciting. So this was awesome. I tried to read Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, did not grab me. Tried to read Persuasion by Arlene Dickinson, did not do it for me. And from me to you, God bless her, but Arlene Dickinson's not a good writer, or whoever wrote for her. Not great. This book made sense, actually gave you action items if you pay attention to it. And I found it quite inspiring. So that's my recommendation and my wise words for this week. And man or a woman, you should check out Our Turn by Kirstine Stewart. It's a fantastic read. I think I was done in 3 days, maybe 4, only because I do work for a living and I can't sit and read for hours and hours. But I enjoyed it every time I picked it up, and I hope you will too. So that's it for Wise Word Wednesdays. The recommendation is Kirstine Stewart, Our Turn. And that's pretty much it. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you've got any books that you've just read that you've really enjoyed, put it in the comments. I'd love to read. I've actually just started reading Jeffrey Gitomer's 21.5 Laws of Selling, which is it's a really cool book. I like Jeffrey Gitomer. He's nice. He's a good writer. But if you've got recommendations, let me know. You can also visit mcvcommunications.ca and go to the Wise Word Library if you're interested in purchasing any of the books that have been recommended. And because full disclosure, I have an Amazon affiliateship, and that would be awesome. So just know that you always have the guts and glory to create your own story. You can, again, check out MCV Communications. See me on Twitter at MCVPloof, Instagram MCVPloof. I hope to see you there. Tag me in books if you like to read, because woohoo, I need more ideas. I hope you're having an awesome day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Entrepreneurial Entrails is brought to you by MCV Communications. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at MCVPloof, or visit mcvcommunications.ca to find out how we can help your small business communicate better. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.